Welcome to Elite 6 Think Tank, an open discussion group with business owners who share their knowledge, experience and skills. So, welcome to the Think Tank meeting. I've done enough talking already. About time for you guys to start thinking about it. And the topic of the meeting is clever collaborations. And I boo-hooed the guy that came up with the week before's topic because he created it and never turned up. And that's what seems to have happened at this meeting today, because Lachlan was the one that suggested that we had clever collaborations. So I'm going to chase him and get him online. So if this topic is a hard one to get going, I'm going to switch it to another one I have up my sleeve. So let's start the Think Tank meeting. I will first of all say hello. You might not all know each other, but that's the purpose of the 7:30 and 9:30 meetings, is to get there. But as you go, you might want to introduce quickly what you do and who you are. And I will share the screen, and I will also chase Lachlan. So does everyone see that one all right? It's not very clear again, is it?
No, it's a bit blurry, Danny.
Yeah, it's just
blurry, but it's improved on the first slides that you put up.
All right, I'll just switch my internet connection to a faster gizmo and see what happens, actually. I'll get myself some more real estate on the screen. 1 minute, please, caller. So, clever collaborations. I was hoping to actually throw Lachlan under the bus on what is a clever collaboration. It says my internet's unstable. How can that be? Worst scenario, guys, I'll have to reconnect and connect again.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah. All right. What I was going to say is Chris knows all about internet speed when running a live Zoom meeting.
That's usually because you're at your Wi-Fi. Your Wi-Fi is unstable.
Oh, thank you.
Too many devices on your Wi-Fi at the same time.
All right, so I'm just going to leave one of them.
Oh yeah, I'm Vicky. What's your name?
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I'll just too many devices. All right. So clever collaborations. Are we going to maintain that topic? What is a collaboration? Probably. What's people's experience with collaborating with other people? Because I did have a question that I rolled out throughout the week, and it was, if you were to partner with some other business right now, what would you want them to bring to the table? And then we've got Mark, who actually suggested that that he could collaborate potentially with a mortgage broker, because that's a good collaboration, being an insurance broker. Well, don't know if you can say a broker or advisor, whatever you guys like to call yourselves. Nigel, you had your hand waving.
Yeah, I was just going to preempt that slightly. Some years ago, a lesson I learned in terms of collaboration was, if you wanted to deal with somebody an awful lot bigger than you were, find out who's number one and deal with number two. Number one's arrogant, number two is hungry. So that's my two bobs worth.
That's good.
Actually, that's a good idea. If you're headhunting somebody to collaborate with, I use that strategy a lot on LinkedIn.
Well, you see, at that stage I was in business and I was trying to find what we call a strategic partner, of course, to deal with. First one was telecom. They didn't want to know. Second one was clear, as they were then. And they were very, very interested. And it was kind of like I've noticed that ever since. Find out who number two is and run with them.
Nigel, does that theory mean that all of us sitting here in the Zoom meeting are the arrogant ones?
I don't think so, Stephen. Thanks for your coffee yesterday, by the way.
It's okay, a pleasure.
Camera's not on.
But a good example of collaboration, Danny, was you and I getting together and promoting and doing that course.
Yep.
Basically, Danny and I had been talking, and he said, well, why don't you do a course for Elite 6 members? And so that's exactly what we did, and used his facilities and what have you to promote it amongst the members. And that's a good example of collaboration. Come together it doesn't have to be full, all the time. It can be for specific tasks or activities that you want to take part in together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You just have to be mindful that when you form a collaborative partnership with someone, that there's sufficient synergies there to work. You don't necessarily need to have your values totally aligned, but they cannot be at the other ends of the spectrum from each other. Otherwise, it'll all go rather sour. And equally, both parties need to be seen to be contributing something, and it may not be equally, as Nigel was suggesting, when you're dealing with the big company, but they in turn need to be able to feel as though they're getting something from you and the partnership they'd have with you.
It's just a really good thought, that one, actually. I think if you want to put that in the chat window, I'll put it in the mind map. But just with the problems you have is if you do collaborate with other companies, is keeping the energy that you put into it the same, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a marriage, really, isn't it? We do marriage counselling next week.
Yeah, it's tough. We've partnered with a company in Australia, so they do SEO, and we're helping them with their e-commerce. So we haven't necessarily brought them an SEO client, but we've opened up another income stream for them because we can handle, besides the e-commerce side, we're doing the more technical things for them and fixing issues that a normal partner of theirs couldn't do. So yeah, it's working. So it's a good collaboration so far. But yeah, I must say we are extremely busy with complicated things. So it's taking a lot of our time. But yeah, no complaints.
When we built our house, I remember the guys that come in and did the foundations were one team, and the guys that delivered all the walls were another team, and then the roofing team, and obviously even the building company for the first, because I used to be a painter and a decorator, and you'd build a house in the old days, the builder would do the whole lot. But now the building of the house is actually 5 or 6 different companies doing the building, let alone the painters and the jib stoppers and the electricians and the plumbers.
Yeah.
So, is that obviously done for economics, or is that done because it works faster? And then the problem I could see with that, with Adam blinking, would be who's accountable when it goes wrong?
Yeah.
You have a site manager, and your site manager takes care of all that, and then you have specialists in every field. So if a builder was doing everything, that would be pretty tricky because they don't have specialized skills in maybe roofing or installing windows.
Yeah, well, they don't anymore, as Danny was saying, because you only need to go back 30 or 40 years, and your carpenter did everything from laying a slab right up through to putting the roof on. And so a lot of skills have been lost by certain tradies because they've gone down that specialisation road. Obviously worked for them because it's still going on decades later.
Yeah, Chuck, there's comments as you go in the chat room. Really appreciate that. Will help build the mind map.
And aren't a lot of building companies the owner, for example, what's that big one down here?
Mike Greer.
Mike Greer. I think with him, he's probably hands off completely, and he just runs the whole show.
I think Mike Greer builds 1,000 homes a week. Last time I looked, he's got a shed pinging them out like the chocolates now. I think Cadbury's and him have got together. I remember when I was a painter and a decorator, did an apprenticeship, and when I was doing my apprenticeship, they put you in 3 weeks, you go to school, but they were showing us how to putty windows and glaze windows and a few other strange things I'd never done before. And I said, this isn't painting. And they said, this is what a painter's trade used to be, but you'd never be puttying a window these days. But it was good to know how. It'd be a jack of all trade, Yeah.
Following on from Nigel's point, a big one that can go either into experiences or problems is trust. It's one thing to go into a collaboration, but it's having a level of trust, and it's defining it as one part, but also maintaining it as the second part.
Yeah. So Liz, is that comment for experiences or problems? Your mic's off. I haven't unmuted everyone, have I? Here we go, Liz. You're off.
Both, she said.
Oh, both. Well, I can't use it for both, so it's going to experiences. Don't start to be awkward. There you go. Thank you, David. It's really good.
I think Lance's point's really valid. Is you have to trust your collaborative partners.
Yeah.
But you do also have, and part of that trust is not only that they know what they're talking about, but also they're actually going to deliver the goods. Because a lot of the time, your service or quality is completely, you have a vision and you're building something around that, and you're trying to find other people that can add value to what you're trying to create. So that you have to be sure that they're actually going to deliver on that value, because in the end it's going to come back on you if they don't.
Yeah.
Actually, can I just reinforce that point from Chris? I think that's a really good one about the whole valuing what you're coming to the party with, that vision. Because I'm dealing with 3 good-sized players at the moment, and I'm a little wee guy here, but they seem to be dealing with me because I've got some ideas that are of interest to them. So there is very much I think they're looking at me as much as I'm looking at them, and we're sort of all going forward together, I think. Yeah.
Got your ideas.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, actually. When you're the small guy and working with the big guys, that's you kind of had to fall in line with their systems and processes, I believe. I don't know. Is that good? Yeah, that would freak me out. I've always the idea of being quite a techie guy. The idea of working for Google or Facebook and going into one of their teams and having your independent thinking go in there would be something I'd probably love to be able to say I work at these companies. But reality is, how would I merge with that? It just wouldn't work, would it? You just have to fall into line with their systems.
Yeah.
Well, if that's going to be the case, you might as well just be an employee with them and get all the benefits of it.
Yeah, I think I'll just sit back in my office chair and enjoy the paycheck.
Danny, I just put in the word morals there because in Stephen's one up above it's spelt wrong. That's all. Sorry, Stephen.
Oh, Stephen.
It's my ex.
Oh, Stephen, bloody principles.
Yeah, bloody pain.
Now the dyslexic person's got to figure out how to cut and paste that in there. Is that the word? It didn't look any different.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's just a little E, mate, for God's sake.
I know, yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
Used to be a teacher.
Well, it must have mattered because you bothered to do it.
No, I know what to do. I know what to do when I get told. Yeah, good stuff, guys. All right, so people's experience of collaboration. As there's sometimes that it may not actually necessarily be a business partner collaboration. It could be a relationship collaboration where you might, I know when I was in a relationship and I used to work for myself and my partner didn't. That was a collaboration which was clever in some ways, but when it came to the business side of it, it was difficult because we're both on different pages. Because I remember often they would say, oh, it's 5 o'clock. Why do people ring you at 8? And I go, I actually want them to me because then I don't have to do it tomorrow. But, that was always a problem in a way because it's their understanding, their passion, your drive that you can't share some of that.
Yeah, but you can resolve those relationships. It's usually called divorce, isn't it, Danny?
Yeah. I upgraded, obviously.
Also the resolution.
Oh, there's a voice. Where'd that come from? Oh, there he is. Yeah. Divorce is actually going to be a good discussion, actually, wouldn't it? It's like letting your clients go away. Mm-hmm.
I had a good collaboration with a colleague at the end of last year, and I got asked to do a job at our local gymnastic club, and I take all their photographs anyway, but they asked me to do video and photo, thinking that because I'm a photographer, I must be a videographer. But no, it doesn't work that way. So I asked a colleague and he came on board and it worked really, really well. And we did a great job, and I think they'll want some more work out of us for some of their other projects. So it really did work well.
Yeah, that's where the collaboration is around recognising varying skill sets, but that can be brought together to meet the primary objective.
Yeah.
Well, it is a topic in itself, actually. What would you say your skill set is? I mean, if you defined, I still don't like the question when people ask me what I do for a living, because even I don't really know how to pin a tail on that donkey. But I used to say to people, I find how to make the most possible money out of the least possible work. I think that was it. But I probably don't work for money so much these days, even though I'm not rich. Especially the last few weeks, of course. I think we're all in the same way.
Making analogies to divorces and the concept of prenups.
Can we take it there?
No, but I mean, I'm just making an analogy to collaboration of businesses. So if you are to negotiate a prenup, then it means that the whole process of separation in the future or understanding what you're bringing to the table is discussed in advance. So if you're collaborating in business with somebody, it's very good to put it on the table and understanding what you're bringing to the table and put it in writing and make clear agreements in place in the process of moving forward. I think that's essential.
Actually, that's probably a good solution if you wanted to ping that one through the chat box. But
prenup.
yeah, so what is it? You said something about having a good contract or a good understanding, a clear...
Well, it's like business collaboration requires potentially a written contract.
Yes.
When I was a painter and a decorator, and this guy who used to deliver the goods said, how about going in partnership together and starting a painting company? I went, how's that going to work? And what we did is every Wednesday night we went off and went to the pub and had a few beers and then sat there and worked out took us 3 months to come up with a really good an agreement, how we worked together. And honestly, I worked with this guy for 3 years. We never, ever had a disagreement. And and what we did is we gave each other a job role. So I couldn't read and write or do any paperwork stuff, no accounts, couldn't do a quote. But verbally, I could look at a building and say how many hours it was going to take. And I got the last say when it come to the procedures that we would use when painting a building, which might sound a bit dumb if you're not a painter, but it can be a big problem when two painters think they know better. And then when I wanted a pay increase, I would say to him, can I get some more money out of the company? And he would have the last say on that. And it was because we identified each other's roles and didn't overlap. I was helping somebody else with some stuff last week, and they said too many captains in the ship. And so you kind of have to have somebody that needs to be a captain in each department, maybe the top deck, the bottom deck, PR role.
Role separation built around your skill set.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that? Sorry, Mark.
It's role separation built around the individual's skill set.
Yes. Yeah.
Remember to keep your comments coming. Who was going to give me the last comment? It was Stephen. He doesn't know how to use the chat box, do you, Stephen?
I'll do it. Sorry.
Too scared to now because Mark will fix this. Yeah. Yeah, clever collaborations. Well, if we bring it to our day, what's some things that we could collaborate with now? Because I know I quite like my independence in my business and having the total control, because I'm a control freak. Ask anyone. But now we're sort of looking that way more, that maybe we could collaborate with somebody. So who would be healthy for our business, or what part of are we lacking? A lot of people say I'd love to do some marketing. The marketing person in my business. But if I send a whole lot of traffic to some people,
I'd love the marketing person.
Yeah, well, that's good. But then if I sent 1,000 people, like we've got online shops, and we just had an unprecedented amount of number of orders coming in, and we got to the stage where we had 1,800 emails in our inbox we couldn't handle, and we had orders literally coming in every 5 minutes. So I could hire a marketing company and go, wow, that's really good. But then all of a sudden my systems and processes aren't set up to handle it. So maybe we need to, look at potential growth. And if we did have that growth, because that's the marketing guy, I think the first thing they would be saying is, I've sent you all this traffic, now you're not doing the work.
Well, if you go back to Mark's point for a minute about recognizing your individual strengths and being captain of your own ship in that sense, then isn't there, through a networking group like this, the idea that each of us can bring a different point to the party and then collaborate the whole thing in some way?
Yeah. I would love that concept. We should all go work at Genius Co-working.
We'll have to join you virtually, Danny.
Okay. Well, I've literally said to the guys, get a big screen up on the wall, and this is exactly what we're thinking of doing. Awesome. And actually having people dial in as they want, have it open, and people popping up on this. We've got a big wall, pop up on the screen, and we have a virtual and a real network all working together collaboratively. How would we manage that? Financially, it is, because even like at the moment, somebody's asked me for help setting up some stuff, and I'm thinking, no, I don't want to do the whole lot, and I know there's people who can't do the whole lot, but they can do some of it.
Yeah.
So I'd like to have them help me do some of it, but then I need to kind of police it and tie it all together.
Yeah.
And then bill it out and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but that very first time, pre-lockdown, almost a week before, when you actually did that, and we had people streaming in as well as a group of us around, did work really well. But I know in our conversation we had yesterday, Danny, it was that the fear might be that people would perhaps say, oh, well, there will be people actually being there live and I'm just going to zoom in, and then you actually find potentially that you have a whole group of people zooming in virtually and no one there actually live. So the real power of it does require those face-to-face group being the predominant number.
Yeah. And it is interesting because when I used to do the Facebook Lives, like you said, people used to, I had members who never tuned into Zoom, but would enjoy sitting there watching. And then I think we're not contributing. So then you go, oh, okay, and I get it, I understand why. And it is a real hard thing to do. And then also, as we talked about money briefly there, is if you were to do a project together and say, like, we've got a budget of $5,000, we're going to do a project. Then how do we handle the monies and the who does what? And what happens when we run out of budget?
But that's just a procedural thing, though, isn't it? You've got to sit down and work that out like you did with your friend on the pub.
Yeah.
And if we've got good collaborative strategies, that will never be a problem, will it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. My headache still hurts. Is anyone else's head hurting? You guys,
Have a normal.
I might just grab a glass of water. No beer left.
You guys up there in Auckland, having that connection up there, and you were in that particular arena, and we're down here in this arena, that all helps with the sort of the network and the growth, doesn't it?
It does. We actually belong to another networking group, and we did the face-to-face meetings, but it really didn't add any value. And we're really enjoying Elite Six, regardless of whether it's virtual. We'd love to come down to South Island and do a face-to-face with everybody. Absolutely.
Well, Mark's got a big house. Stay with him.
Yeah, you'd be welcome. I'd be happy. I would be happy to host you out in the country, 10-acre lifestyle block.
And you
Awesome. Can we come out there as well?
Yeah.
Isn't that being done out in
Red wine. Yeah.
A guy up in Euro that had that's Glorvale. And one of our members used to own the property, Glorvale, and he sold it to them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we know people.
Many a dime.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Where have we got to? Oh, we've got some more solution. Thank you. Oh, that's a good way of doing it, Lars. Put the word solution in front of it so Danny knows where to put it. You go to the top of the class.
Well done.
That's good. I think the funny thing is we'd all, in an ideal world, like to collaborate together and help each other in business.
So I just got
the reality of it is actually quite hard work to manage. And I don't know why that is. If we took money out of the equation, then what would be the next trading point? Would it be time?
Yes,
and then
time, definitely.
An
issue.
Yeah, because I went for a walk with Helen yesterday because we just had to get out of the house. She was going crazy. And we walked around McCain's Island with our dog for about an hour and a half. But we talked about business and everything, strategies. And theoretically, we were having some time off, but we needed a different environment. So, people might not count that as business time. But it is, isn't it? So how would you... It's probably finding the right people to work with more than anything.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same as going out for a cup of coffee with somebody and just talking about the things that are important to you around your business or whatever.
Maybe if you look at an athlete who's doing the doing the 100-meter race and all the preparation he does before sprint. That's right, the 100-meter sprint. I mean, you wouldn't want to be paid just for the sprint, would you?
Yeah. So Steph and I, when we are feeling a little tired and we need to plan, we occasionally go to the pub and we have a good brainstorming session, and we find that pretty productive, actually.
Yeah, it's not the pub that does it, it's actually the Guinness. Anyway.
Terrible stuff.
This is good.
Now, I've got an invader question here, which I don't know how to put into my PowerPoint, but I'll do it anyway. And I'm going to start up a new arm just because I can. Oh, my goodness, look at that. It's question for the group. Chris, read your question.
This is on mute.
Oh, Chris is on mute. Not for long.
The question is, it's collaboration, and I read my question after I hit enter and went, oh, that didn't make sense. But
That's what I'm
the
getting
idea is that collaboration is generally that you will get more time. So that you collaborate with someone who has a specialist skill in the area, they'll do it 10 times faster than you will. So therefore, you'll get, while they're doing that part of it, you'll be doing something else. But the question is, does collaboration actually add time to your day or actually take time away from you? And it really comes down, I think, to the collaborative partners and more so the ability for you to project manage or produce. Because to successfully collaborate with anyone else, you have to be able to manage what they're doing and what you're doing and what others are doing in an organized fashion. You can't collaborate successfully if you just leave them to their own devices and you're off doing your own thing and then you kind of come back together. The collaboration, in my mind, really does come back a lot to that. It needs a really successful project manager or producer to cover it. To add, that means it gives you more time. But if you don't have that, it's simply going to be a time suck and it's quicker for you to do it yourself.
Yeah, that's a really cool point, actually. I get that.
When Chris, Pablo and I worked together, and he did the video and I did the photography, we did it in a way that I actually knew almost all the gymnasts in the club, and I knew he didn't know a lot of the things like I don't know what he had to get for trampoline or what kids did ninja gym and things like that. So I was there as well to help him understand how gymnastics works, who's in what group, what to get. But we were actually left to our own devices to get those things. But then we came back together, and I sat down with him when he was editing and said, "Oh, those kids should be in this group. Those kids should be in this group." So in a way, I oversaw that, but I could never have done it myself because I didn't have video.
So the success of your thing was because you had a really good grasp on the overall project and were managing overall project and directing, and therefore he could clearly do what he could do best. But if you hadn't been able to do that, then his output would probably have been longer or less quality, and the overall product would have been not as good.
Yeah, Helen, you became the technical expert.
Yeah.
I just posted your comments in there, David, but I don't know whether it was a problem, an experience, or a solution.
Read, in there, Danny, what I've said is it's like delegation. You have to check that what you expect is actually happening. So you've got to stay on the case.
That was the problem before I was talking about.
Okay.
So you've given us 2 comments, which I'm really happy about.
But if you go back to Helen's comment from before, it just reinforces the fact that one of you really needs to have the overall grasp. That way they can see where the holes are and which ones to plug with which direction, isn't it?
Clear outcomes with boundaries. If you were at a motor racing event, like one of those hot rod events where they blow up the engine and then they go back into the tent. Within 2 hours, they've rebuilt the whole engine, and you watch those guys work on those engines. I mean, that's a true collaboration. That always makes me sit there and go, "Oh my God," you know. Or the Formula One car, it crashes into the wall and looks like it's now a bottle top, and then they rebuild the car overnight or something stupid. They must have some really good, like software. Maybe you could use that to task. What's that noise? Just put that one there, up there for a while.
Well, that just reinforces procedures, though, doesn't it? Really.
Have we got that in here? Procedures, understanding referendums, clear leadership. Where's that one going, Lance? Oh, solution.
And solutions. It was more just adding to that topic, really.
That's right.
And same with Nigel's point there too. It's just having that definition around those roles.
Hmm.
Yeah, you know, everything's still, even if you've got really good collaboration, you still need a captain.
Yep.
Mm.
There has to be a captain to the collaboration.
Oh, the one with the money makes the rules. So is that the customer?
No, not necessarily the one with the money makes the rules, but there needs to be someone needs to be coordinating and leading the group of people collaborating together.
That also leads to accountability too, doesn't it? At the end of the day, somebody has to sort of be accountable for the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Got lots of solutions, guys. Good one, man. So are we going to collaborate with anyone after this?
I like collaborating.
I do it as well, actually. I love it when we have a team of people. And that's one of my goals, is always to have a team of people, but this never seems to... people lose interest sometimes, and maybe they don't have the integrity or the staying power, or some of the tasks that I do take friggin' ages. And, you know, I've always said I'd like to get Elite Six members to start a business together, and we all work collaboratively, whatever that is. You know, and I think that would be a great project to do, and say, well, we're going to sell widgets. Find a widget. All right, who's going to do the marketing? Who's going to go knocking on people's doors, and, you know, and then come together and see what we can do as a collective. And then how do we divvy up the money? That seems to be the problem. Let's say we made $20,000 in a year, and 20 people contributed, and we all got $1,000 each. It's like, oh, it wasn't worth the energy, you know. So then somebody says, hey, why don't we outsource the whole lot to India? That's a good idea, eh, Chris? and then get them to do all the work, and we just take the money, you know.
Yeah.
Mark's done that.
What?
Mark, Scown, where did that one go? Under solutions, problems?
Which one?
Have defined leadership, and I've already put that
Yeah,
in.
well, it was following on while we're talking about the clear leadership. So I wrote in, have a defined leadership and role definition.
Yeah. Well done. Oh, look, Stephen's got it good. He's got solution.
So you made reference to a captain, but I think having a good coach prior to having a captain. So you need someone that's coaching the team, and the captain and the team are the players. You know, a captain's generally a player. A coach is someone that's playing but administrating and leading. So I think it's really important to have a good coach.
That's good stuff, guys. This topic's going better than I thought it was going to go. Just saying, out loud. Yeah. So if we did start a job together and we all wanted to work together, what are we going to do?
Well, you'd have to recognise some common goal or focus. Otherwise, it's not going to happen in the first instance.
Let's put Matt James out of business. Let's start business coaching. Get a new business in here. We'll grab pennies, and we can then start saying, right, collectively, how can we all help a business? How much are you going to pay us, Penny? We need 20 grand.
What are you worth, and how much expansion am I going to get on my business?
Because then people actually say, well, what's the return on my investment, isn't it? If you didn't have the money, people now want to say, well, if I give you 20 grand to help me in my business, you know, what's going to happen?
You definitely have to have a goals and job descriptions, I guess. Because if someone said, oh, I did more work than you, so, you know, and if someone doesn't pull their weight, so in a way, you've got to have very defined goals, I guess.
I suppose that comes to values, doesn't it? Like, you have the good values, and, you know, like trust, integrity. You know, I remember the best thing that ever happened to me when I had a business partner in Elite Six, funny enough, about 4 years ago. We got some coaching, and he basically gave us both, he had a felt tip pen and a big board, and he said, we're going to be talking about values. And he said, tell me all the values that mean something to you. And he kept rattling them off. And at the end of it, we had 25 values on the board. And then he said, right, circle the one. He gave me the pen, and then my colleague, and they circle the one that means the most to you. So I circled listening because that was one of my values. And then they circled respect because at the time they didn't think I had any respect for them. So we didn't agree. And then they said, keep circling until you find the second one that means the most to you. And eventually we overlapped. And then he took away all the other values and said, well, these are the values that you need to build your company on if you two are going to continue working together. And it was really good. And then we don't work together anymore. but the fact is that if we were going to continue, you needed to work with people that share the same values. And you can't, your personal values may be different than your business values. But if I truly believe that if you don't have values in your business, you suffer. So collectively, if we were going to work together, guys, then we need to make sure we have at least share the same values in business. That's my speech. Oh, look at the notes.
And you've got to have a clear understanding of what other people can bring to your collaboration as well. And that may well require research beforehand just to sort that out, because very often what's on the surface may not be what's there in actuality.
I want to know why Chris is writing in capitals. Just to annoy me. Stop it. It's not good CEO. Good stuff.
You've got to have the same values as well, because one of your values might be you've got to be on time with your project, and someone else might go, oh, it doesn't matter if it's a week late. So yeah, it reflects on you as well.
I'm not quite sure with that, Helen, because in the days in my other life when I had 50 staff, my job as the professional leader was to recognise that everyone brought to the table a whole range of values, of which some were common, and I really had to make sure that I was able to steer the ship and lead them on a path that optimised the goals for the institution we were working within. So it was really to ensure that those values that didn't fit within the group actually weren't negative ones. And from time to time over the years, you'd end up with some staff member who you would classify as a well poisoner. And then it was my role to just quietly ease them out.
Yeah.
Ease them out.
Human resources manager, Mark.
Yeah.
Right. Where are we at? What's the time doing? We've got 13 minutes of pleasure or hell, whatever way you want to look at this.
Hands up.
Collaboration. I still would love to come up with a project and all work together on it. I reckon if we all said, like, I'm going to sacrifice 2 hours of my week on a project, and we come together on a whatever, in a hoo-ha, and all work together or something, we'd have to have teams. We'd have to have a captain, maybe an understanding with money.
You'd probably have to sit down in a room and do exactly what we're doing right now and mind map what the project is, what are potential problems, issues, what are the construction phases or whatever. And then once you've got that, you're starting to work out who's going to be doing what.
If you thought bigger, I know we've got an architect and a what do you call yourself, Nige? What's
everything but an architect.
Everything but an architect, yeah. And we said, well, let's think big. Like Nige has got a project at the moment, which I think is brilliant. And Stephen and Nige have been talking about this new rule that comes out where you can build a 30 square metre thingies on random people's properties without having all the consent to do so from the council. And then all of a sudden I'm thinking, well, that would be really cool because we've got Ergo Style who could fit the place out with some really clever thinking furniture. We've got marketing people that could market the concept. We're all around small to medium sized businesses who theoretically that product would be ideal for. And then imagine that collectively we all had a project where we're now selling 30 square metre apartments, well, not apartments, but office units that could go in people's sections. And we collectively went out there and told all our friends that are,
Well, that's exactly what Clint and Rhonda and I are doing at the 10 square metre point. because we were doing that up until the announcement of the 30 square metres. So we're just about to put that out there now. And the 30 metre obviously gives us room to move in terms of bigger and better. But yeah, we're about to go out there with a 10 square metre version of that now.
Because you've got a whole group of people out there now who have had 8.5 weeks of working at home for their companies, who in this stage, as we're going back towards, level 1, are actually thinking, do I actually need to be in a work office? Why not, now with this rule here, why not have this 30 square metre office come sleep out the back?
Yep.
Yeah, so there's an opportunity, isn't it? It's about people. I know I'm always looking for what's trending in business, and then I always look to see if I can capitalize on something. It's like, but I suppose it's what networking is all about, is that we help each other in business, support each other, endorse each other is probably the most thing I think is the strongest thing about Elite Six. Like some of our ideas, we don't even know they're going to work ourselves, but just by standing beside somebody as they put themselves out there is very strong.
But the key thing, I think, is the timeliness and the level of reactivity. So, we could sit here and talk about this as an idea in terms of the sleep out office. But if we actually did nothing, there's going to be other players that are there that are reacting in the next 4 weeks, 6, 8 weeks, and just getting in there.
Well, actually, Mark, you're dead right, because Clint and I have noticed that there are other people with similar ideas coming out on this one. But all that, to me, does is reinforce the fact that we're on the right track here.
Yeah. I never have believed in competition. I've never even worried about competition. Exactly what you just said, Nigel. If you've got an idea and then somebody else is doing it, it just tells me it's feasible.
Exactly. Yeah.
You just have to do it.
It's a reinforcing, really, isn't it?
And even if you don't do it better, you're still 40% as good as whoever they are.
With the group collaboration, Liz put in the chat box our fundraising event, which is quite a cool idea.
Fundraising event?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me money.
For the collective collaboration.
Oh.
The group collaboration.
Yeah. Well, if that, using money as a scenario, I've always said to you guys, would everyone put $100 a month or a week into a kitty somewhere, which will enable us to use that to do some task, or start an ideas pool, that sort of style. I'm wondering if that, if that's how you make a start of these ideas, then do you have to have a committee on the bank account, or do we have to have I think we tried doing that, didn't we, Dave, once with that? Is it, we were going to start up some speaking organisation years ago.
That's right. We were going to start, in fact, with Royden, we were going to start, what the hell was it called? Yeah,
that was funny, though, because it was 12 quite good.
But that was really interesting. And this was one of the things about if you have group collaborations, that you've got to actually get, it was called Share.
That's
Danny,
right.
is what it was called. And there were initially, we had about a dozen people, all very highly qualified in terms of public speaking and professional. They're all professional speakers, basically. But what happened was that the initial enthusiasm got it up and got it going, and a lot of design work and what have you was done. But the minute that it came to people actually committing and working to it, when they weren't actually seeing a bob as they were doing it, because it was going to come further down the track, people just fell away. And in the end, there were 3 of us left.
Yep.
But I found in my years as a principal of a large school was people might know and understand what collaboration is, and they might have worked in a close relationship with the person who's in the physical space next to them. But when you actually, and this is the government initiative of recent times, these big open plan schools and things, you have to do it. But people don't naturally collaborate in the sense that we're talking about. So I had to spend a lot of my time being able to take people through almost like courses of how to collaborate And it did require someone who was not necessarily, in my case, the chief knowledge holder, but it was that, like Stephen was saying before, it was the coach. And that person needed to be there in every stage all the way along, because people could get a little bit loose on things. They needed to be brought back and refocused.
So it's certainly, if you're going to have a collaboration of a number of people, it requires work by everybody and somebody, as you say, monitoring what's going on and keep on, as they say, spinning the plates on the top of the pointy sticks.
Yeah. That's a job in itself. I might figure out where that background music's coming from in a minute. I'll just Nigel, that was a question you had a wee while ago, or is that
it was just a comment, but we've basically been talking about it anyway, haven't we? I was just trying to focus some thoughts there.
That's good. That's what we're all about, mate. Yeah, so having an idea, collaborative idea where the wheels don't fall off, and eventually only 2 or 3 people doing all the work and the rest of them sit there and cheer you on. Is that what I'm hearing? And it's often the case, isn't it? I think if I was to look at my members in Elite 6, I really do. I think they've got that, not the deep pockets, but they have got that integrity and that drive where they keep going and they don't give up. And I think that's, I think, honestly, I can tell you now, people are 1 in 1,000. You don't, like I said, I've had 1,500 people come and go in Elite 6 in the last 5 or 6 years, and that's why I've changed a lot of things. But there's only a few people out there who've got that integrity and that push and that continued power. A lot of people lose interest or want results straight away. And that's where I think that, I look at this personally myself as personal development. And if it sparks an idea and I go have a golden nugget in my head and it gives me that drive to start up a new blah or blue, I just get one thing and I'm away again, Maybe it's like a charge point. It's Danny. He's a bit weird, that guy. Got a few issues.
Actually, that's what you just said there, if I may.
You may.
It's quite a good heading there. You could say, what's your charge point? I rather like that.
You can use it if you like. There's a royalty on it. We need $20,000. Yeah, charge point. Yeah. Okay, let's do that. I like that. We've got 3 minutes, guys. Oh, that might be next week's topic.
Yeah. What's your charge point?
Charging. Charging.
No, not charging as in money. I mean charging as in energy.
Is that
I was thinking money, because you'd almost get to that point where someone might have more specialised skills in a certain area, and then they'd want more money than you if you're in a big, group trying to collaborate together. So that would be kind of tricky to work out. Do you all get an even amount of money? Do you get a little bit each, or how that works?
Yeah.
I'd like to put it up to our Auckland team to give us some thoughts about what would be a useful topic for them. So it'll give us a little bit of insights in where you're coming from as well.
Actually, that's quite cool. I'm just thinking.
I've actually got a topic. I've got a topic for you.
Good.
So I've got somebody that I'm doing work for, but he pays really poorly, and it's a lot of work that I need to get done. I don't like dropping people, but he's not willing to negotiate on price. So how do you, I honestly don't know how to deal with the situation.
Feasible activities, isn't it? It's easy to say get rid of them, but it is probably,
you don't want to ruin a relationship. It's a business relationship, and it's for a good company in New Zealand as well. But I just don't know how to be diplomatic, or I really don't know.
Yeah, we're actually.
I'm assuming there's no contract basis to it, is it?
No, there's no agreement, no contract. It was just
kind of like an informal
kind
of agreement to do
and
something.
If you were to lose this client, what financial impact would it have on your business?
None.
Okay.
So that, to me, that gives you the power to say, look, have a conversation with the person saying, this is not quite working for us. Actually, in 2020 and post-COVID, we actually need to be charging this for our time or blah, blah, blah. And then they have a choice. You've put it out to them to come to the party in regard to what you need and want to make it work properly for you, or they'll walk away. And if in walking away it's not going to be a financial loss to you, so be it. You can use your time more productively with the next client.
Yeah, absolutely.
Empower them to
there's
perform.
There's an opportunity cost involved there. You know, basically what you're doing by putting time and effort into them is you're neglecting some other area of opportunity that could maybe generate funds for you.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think sometimes I always remember a guy an accountant from down in Christchurch, who said, we want to keep the customers that we enjoy working with, and by that enjoy not only the job itself but that they pay and what have you, and that's where our focus should be, and not on the people who give us grief or don't appreciate what we're doing for them.
Yes, empower them to perform.
That's right.
Yeah.
So who's Brian, Danny?
Hey,
Who's Brian?
who's Brian?
Yeah, you've got next week's topic, charging points for Brian.
Oh, mate, that's.
I know a couple of Barrys, but I don't know any Brians, mate.
Yeah.
The life of Brian.
Is that right now?
Yeah, Brian, yeah.
Yeah. One other thing I've found quite good is if for people who like charging enough, I used to charge $75 an hour for my time, and I very rarely get money for that. And then I put my hourly rate up to $120 an hour, and I get that. But then when I'd go do a website, I'd charge anything from $3,000 to $5,000 for a website, but people still wouldn't pay that happily. So then I'd get half the money up front, and then I'd finish the website, and then we'd get the rest of the money, and that kind of worked for a while. But now what I do is I say, look, I charge in 10-hour, 15-hour implements, and this is how much work I did last time in 10 hours. And this is the result they got for hiring me for 10 hours, you know, and that's helped me a lot. Yeah, and half of nothing is nothing. I mean, you could, if you're doing this on a real cheap rate, maybe bill them in advance and say, well, you can't have everything in that special. You heard of the triangle of, you know, they want it cheap, they want it fast, and I've got the other ones.
Good products. Cheap, fast, for good. You can have any two.
Yeah.
Can I just go back to that opportunity cost thing too? You know, it just depends how busy you are. You know, if in actual fact, the time that you're spending on them, you wouldn't be spending on other people, or you don't currently have other clients to fill it with, then maybe, you know, you grin and bear it and do some of the things that the likes of Mark have talked about. Until it comes right. You know, that's really, because otherwise I think something's better than nothing sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually the latter. We're very busy. I would really like to help him, but I can't at that rate. It really is way under. I really can't,
Well, that conversation about changing things obviously is the one you've got to have, and if he's not prepared, then you should.
Sorry.
If you're chasing them for money all the time, that's just, you know, so much of your time.
Hey, just in respects of time, talking about time, we actually have gone over time by 3 minutes, so I'll just close the meeting as such. Is charging points for the brain, or Brian, whatever you want to, is that for the brain? I don't know if that's a good topic, but I don't know. Or does somebody else want to have a go at a topic for next week?
Well, have we helped our friends in Auckland with their issue, or do you want to talk some more about it next week?
Yeah,
we can talk about it next week.
What would that topic be on how to exit a client, or is it?
In many ways, if I may say,
a client or partnership, I guess.
Say that again.
How to exit a client
or renegotiate.
Or how to renegotiate.
These clients won't be on good terms, and I think word of mouth travels a lot. So if you just do away with the clients, there could be potential impacts of using additional clients in that industry.
Yeah.
So we always want to like be on a good note with like everyone that wants to do business with us, but how to negotiate would be.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
Ethically.
yeah, the key word there is negotiation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You could just change the how to exit poor clients as how to negotiate through poor clients.
Or how to negotiate full stop, because rather than focus on the negative, if we focus on the positive on how to negotiate with clients and discuss the positive ways to move forward, and that will help avoid these situations, and part of the solutions will become the solution for your problem. So if we stay focused on the positive, the negative will go or exit, one would hope, rather than focusing on the negative.
I always like to expand and consolidate. Expand and consolidate is what I do. So once upon a time, I used to have all these clients pay me $30 a month to host and promote their website. And I had to jump from $30 a month to at least $100 a month to make my business feasible. And then when I did that, the stats actually showed I lost 2% of my clients. But then I could use that money I got in to actually better my company, to give more product or service and better the service I offered them.
Okay.
Psychology behind it was really hard to get my head around, but I just, all of a sudden I had money left over in my bank account and I was making a profit. And it was like, oh, I see what business is all about. Yeah. So David, would you want to just ping that topic in the right words instead of poor? You had a nice.
Yeah. No. Well, I'd just like to go with Stephen's suggestion, just how to negotiate.
Yep.
Okay, and just leave it at that.
How to negotiate. All right.
Yeah.
We'll get that. There we go. How to negotiate. Because it doesn't have to be about a client. It's about anything, isn't it, really?
That's right. That's right. Because I think that, when you stop and think about it, that's when where a whole lot of our problems go, because oftentimes we're reluctant to do it because we don't really feel comfortable about how we go through the process. And I think if we can all talk about it as a group, I think that would be really helpful to all of us.
Yeah.
Excellent. Nice way to conclude the meeting. I'll just stop recording this for the podcast. So if you are listening to the podcast, thank you for tuning in. And also for our members here today, remember that the meeting structure for Elite 6 is completely different now. We've got a face-to-face meeting on Wednesday, 9:30. We've got our first Zoom meeting of the week will be Thursdays at 9:30. And we also have a new meeting, which will be 7:30 on a Friday, which will be our normal structured meetings. And then we'll carry over to 9:30 and have our think tank meeting, which you've just been part of. So thanks for tuning in.